this is Lyndall from Watery Wishes, and today I have a card for you that I actually did a few weeks ago and intended to submit it for one of the Color Throwdown challenges, but never got around to doing the voiceover as I had some university assignment that I had to do and had a bit of difficulty with. So I'm sorry for the delay in posting on YouTube, but university has to sort of come first for me. So I'm getting to it now. So I just recently bought the Simon Says Stamp Spring Flowers set, and I wanted to watercolor them, and the colors for the Color Throwdown were black, a sort of tealy blue, and white, I think, if memory serves. And I'm not very proficient in watercolor. I'm actually quite new to watercolor, just like I am to card making in general. And so I tried a couple of different techniques, mostly wet on wet, but there was a lot of putting in concentration of color and then watering it down a little bit. And then sometimes I'd just get my larger brush and put the color on that way. It was sort of a bit of trial and error, but what I was trying to do was trying to get a bit of a gradient of color from the bases of the flowers and lighter up to the top. So it was a lot of back and forth, and I did a lot of back and forth with the black because it looks really dark when you put it down, but it dries back so much. So I probably did more layer application with the foliage than I did with the actual flowers. The only other watercolors I'd worked with prior to getting this set of Mission Gold watercolors was those cheap ones that you get like 32 colors, but they're really, really chalky. And after you've finished with them and they're dry, they sort of come up off the paper. And I really didn't like them. So I actually popped all the little bits of paint out of them and made a palette for a friend out of my Mission Golds. A little bit of the other that was in the tubes. So here I am drying them down a little bit so I can add a little bit more of a layering effect with the watercolors. And I probably could have done with only one jar of water. As you'll notice, they're peanut butter containers because I don't know, I just didn't see any point in buying a special water container just for holding water to clean paintbrushes. It's a little bit extravagant, and I'd rather spend the money on stamps. So as you can see, I'm just trying to darken them up at the base. And yeah, I could have done with maybe one container of water because I was only using the two colors and the water didn't get too muddy. But best practice is to have one to clean and one to use as fresh. So I suppose it's not a bad habit to be in. Now, I'm using a few different brushes. I've got the I think they're the Royal and Langnickel brushes. And I think I have them in sizes 2, 4, and a 0.75 inch, so 3/4 inch brush. But so I'm using them to add sort of depth, a bit darker colour in the bottoms, and then add a bit of plain water to get that colour to move just a little bit. And as you can see, the black on the leaves and stems has dried back considerably. So here's a little bit more on the foliage. I think I'm pretty much done with the flowers, and I was really happy with the way they turned out. I think part of the reason why the foliage was so difficult was because I was doing it in black watercolour. If I was doing it in a couple of different shades of green, I would have been able to get that variation and that texture a little bit easier. But I also wanted the depth of black because the colour, the colours for the Color Throwdown was black, white, and this blue colour. I felt that I sort of needed to get that foliage just a little bit darker. Oh, and the paper that I'm using is Canson XL watercolors, and I stamped the images out in Versamark and used, I think it was Hero Art's white embossing powder to heat emboss the images. And I don't own the dies, so I basically sat at my computer watching a movie while I fussy cut them out. Because I stamped 2 lots, I ended up doing 2 different cards, styled very similarly, but slightly different. The flowers are in the same position, but the sentiments are varied. I did die cut sentiments for one of the cards, and I did I think it was a stamped heat embossed sentiment strip for the other. And see, I thought I was finished, but they still weren't dark enough. So I came back in with a bit more paint. Trying to darken them up some more. I actually, when I was filming this, as I was assembling the second card, my battery in my camera ran out, so I didn't capture the assembly of the second card on film. But as I said, it's basically identical to the first card, just the sentiment strip is a little bit different. And I used one lot to design where I was going to put all the flowers, and as you could see, I just slid them off to the side so I had a visual reference. And that is a black panel that is A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I believe the white panel on top of that is 3 3/4 by 5 to give a little bit more of an edge with the black. And they're both going to be A4 landscape top folding cards. So I needed to get out a acrylic block to sort of hold them down, because those stemmy bits kept wanting to pop up off the page of the cardstock. And as I'm adhering everything down, I periodically just check to make sure that my sentiments, my die cut sentiments, are going to fit on the card. And this one in particular was sort of, the second one went really fast, but this one took a while because I was making sure that those die cut sediments would have enough space on the card. And those die cut sediments are Simon Says stamps. I think they're a scripty word sentiment. They're a very, very fine die cut. And when I first went to adhere them, I was searching for my reverse tweezers and I couldn't for the life of me find them. I have since found them, but yeah. When working with tiny, tiny, thin, scripty die cut sentiments, it's really handy to have a pair of tweezers that you can hold them with while you apply the glue, but I did without. So the university assignment, I had a little bit of, it wasn't that it was so much difficult, it was just very time consuming. I had to do a 30-second animation for a university unit where I took the words that were allocated to me, which was circle, book, and anger, and created a story that encompassed or included the use of those words or was inspired by those. And it was visually obvious that those words were included in the animation. So it was a lot of illustrating and animating, and animating can be a very time consuming and fiddly thing. So here I am finally getting down the die cuts, and I just remembered I actually did use a die cut for the second card. It was a heart die from one of the Simon Says stamp kits, and the sentiment strip that I stamped and heat embossed read, "I love your kind," and then I had the heart die cut just underneath it. Oh, I totally forgot about this. Okay, so here I have some, I think it's an exclusive Studio Cartier clear drop mix for Simon Says stamp, and some pre-made Nouveau drops in black, Onyx black, and the white one, whatever it's called. and I sort of go really overboard with them. The second card is much more sedate concerning the embellishment. I only use the clear drops on the second card. But this one I went a bit crazy because, you know, you've got to Nouveau drop all the things. So, yeah, occasionally a card will fall victim to my love of Nouveau drops. This happened to be one of them. And I'm storing them in film canisters because they were rather cheap at the time. I actually got one of those Elizabeth Ward, I think it is, bead containers coming. I purchased the other day. But to begin with, I didn't have enough embellishments to warrant buying one. But I recently bought one simply because, as I live in Australia, I'm not going to be able to easily buy from Amazon US anymore as of next month. And the difference in price is $30 versus $150. So I sort of, even though I don't need it now, I will. And I just wanted to make sure I had the option to get it at a cheaper price. So that is the completed first card. And there's a couple of shots of that. And then there are photos of the second card, and you can see that the floral placement is virtually the same. And the white heat embossed sentiment strip. So, sorry it took me so long to get another video up. Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed watching, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one. And don't forget, have fun crafting your imagination. Bye.